Well, how you doing? It's Mr. DJ. Let's get back to WJRD's top 11 plus 50 survey of October 31st, 1966. Got one of the most interesting songs that ever came out. It was not a hit, but it comes in at number 42. Excuse me, on WJRD's top 11 plus 50 survey. Boy, what a electric playlist. I miss these playlists. I really do. You will never see a top 40 playlist today like this. Very seldom. Top 20, that's about it. The playlist got shorter and shorter starting in the early 70s, and they're pretty short now, top 20. But let's go ahead and take a look at this band. It's called a band called the Sidekicks. It's called FiFi the Flea. I'm gonna read you some of the lyrics because, well, I'll discuss the song in just a minute or what I think the song might be about. But the Sidekicks, they originally started out as the Statesiders. They're from New Jersey, and they were formed by a guy, co-founder. His name was Jim Spirit. Jim Spirit, I just found this out. This is fascinating. Jim Spirit, he co-wrote the song "The Martian Hop." Does anybody remember "The Martian Hop"? Summer of 1963 by the Randells. He sang on it too. And the story about that song came about when John Spirit rather, and the other band members, they got together and they were imagining that the Martians would come and they'd throw a huge party for the human race, and they imagined that the Martians would be great dancers, and well, they came out with the Martian Hop. But about a year or two later, he formed another band, influenced by the British invasion, particularly by the Beatles. He brought in about three other guys. Jim Spirit brought in three other guys, and they signed a deal with Providence Records, and they got a manager. His name was Stephen Rappaport, band manager, and he was band manager for about a year or two, and he was the guy who produced the Martian Hop. So John Spirit and Rappaport already had a connection already. Statesiders, they released a single in early 1965, and then they changed their name to the Redcoats. The Redcoats put out some singles in 1965, and they got some airplay in New Jersey, some local airplay, but Providence Records would not release any of their singles for national distribution, and therefore Rappaport left as their manager. They got a new manager. They signed with RCA in 1966. How about that? And they came out with their biggest hit called Suspicion. That was in 1966. Went to number 55 on Billboard's Hot 100. Got the full orchestration too on this album that they put out in 1966. FiFi the Flea, orchestrated by Jimmy Weisner. And FiFi the Flea at number 42 on WJRD's Top 50 survey. Now, what happened was the band broke up in 1967, and partly due, or probably due to the fact that their new manager was exploiting the band members. He was taking all the royalties. Basically, he just took up most of the royalties, just skimmed the cream right off the crop, and then some with the band. So they broke up. Very obscure band. Sidekicks, my goodness. What a jam, and hallelujah that YouTube has this video. That is just splendid. Not only that, I got the lyric sheet to it. Now, from what I gather about the song, it's about a flea who falls in love with a clown. This is a flea world. This is so psychedelic. It's more of a garage band, semi psychedelic record as opposed to being like the Beatles or the Zombies or Herman's Hermits. FiFi the Flea, here's a lyric. FiFi the Flea fell in love with a clown from a flea circus fair. She gave him her heart, but he still couldn't see that for such a long time she had cared. He put himself around all the other girl fleas, unaware that he hurt her so badly. She cried in the arms of his manager friend and declared that she loved the clown madly. This is in the flea world. It's almost kind of, it's one of these imaginative, kind of these childlike songs that came out back in the 60s. These childlike things, kind of like they were metaphors for something else, but they sounded childlike on the surface. Something like a Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, which was quite childlike. That was a brilliant record. Also, I'm thinking about another song about Hollies like Carrie Ann, kind of childlike there. Jennifer Eccles by the Hollies. Also, the song that the Rolling Stones did, and I got the melody in my head. I can't remember the name of it. Dandelions by the Rolling Stones. When you finish with your twilight prayer, well, you know you should wear it. Just these childlike things. Now here's the third verse off this record. Let me just read you this to show you just how imaginative this record is. The day FiFi died, the little clown vowed he'd tend her grave every hour. He broke down and cried when he saw her grave, and on it he placed a small flower. Poor little Flea, he wasted away. He lost his FiFi forever. So they opened her grave, put him inside. Now at last they are together. My goodness. Talk about getting some goosebumps on that. That reminds me of you might these death songs were popular too. Remember songs like "Teen Angel" by Mark Denning? That was in 1960. But then more recently to this record in 1965, there's Dickie Lee doing "Lore Strange Things Happen." I believe was the name of the record about a girl who had passed away. Her spirit had showed up. So here it is, FiFi. My goodness, that is something else. You know that? Brilliant record. FiFi the Flea by the Sidekicks at number 42 on WJRD's Top 11 Plus 50 survey of October 31st, 1966. Had to put on my DJ voice.